Glory to Jesus Christ.
Glory forever.
So Friday, I was in the Veterans Hospital with Mike and Marie. And we were in to see Father Martin. And walking out of the room, there were two other people. So, Father Martin was towards the window. There was another guy going to be about to come in from surgery, I think. And there were two other people right there, squeezed four in a row. Okay. And so I'm walking out of the room, and I see a guy, and he's very, I don't think he looked like he had much longer to live, and he was just like in constant discomfort. He looked desperate, and I said, "Would you like me to pray with you, pray for you?" And he said, "No, I'm an atheist, so there's no point." But thank you, though. He did say that. And at first I wanted to respond, but then God kept me quiet. And I don't know how many of you have that relationship with God, but work towards it. It's a nice place to be, where God governs your actions. And those of you who are at that place know what I'm talking about when God shuts you up. Sometimes your own intellect teaches you to shut up, but when you come to the place where God shuts you up when you want to talk, that is a blessing. And to be honest with you, I'm like, wait, if I don't say it, who's going to say it, right? Later I figured that out. But so another guy in the room immediately said, "I'd like you to pray for me, Father." This is the other guy up on the right side. He had the curtain pulled. So I went over to him, asked about his condition, and prayed for him. And of course, not only said a prayer for him, but a prayer for the physician, the surgeon who was about to do surgery on him. And then Mike handed him one of our new cards. Mike, do you just want to go grab one to show them what they look like? And these cards, these cards basically, and just read what it says right on the top.
For you a candle will be lit with prayer at Holy Protection Church, Dover, Florida, a parish of the ancient Christian Orthodox Church. We hope you choose to visit us sometime.
Okay, and then it has some other things it says. But I'd like everyone to take some of those today. If you have someone that you encounter that needs a prayer, hand them this and give the name to me, and we will light a candle for them. Last night I lit a candle for a bunch of people from the hospital, right? And including this guy, who we handed the card to, Robert. So keep Robert in your prayers. Those who call on the name of the Lord shall not be in want. And so in any case, this, I lit the candle for him last night, but what about this other man, the professed atheist? Well, last night I also prayed about that. I said, Lord, why did you shut me up? And I didn't get an answer. Nothing came to mind. So I prayed for the man's conversion to God. And afterwards, immediately afterwards, I realized why. I wasn't the only person in that room who could deal with that man who was the atheist. Right? Father Martin is laying there with nothing to do. God just gave him something to do. Father Harry, you have other places to be. Go over and pray with them over here. Father Martin will take care of this guy later. And so, in any case, he just, Father Martin had just heard the same interchange, and so on. So just like all of us, Father Martin is also working on his salvation. And even if Father Martin gets that's enough, priest, about all this God stuff, I don't want to hear from you anymore about the guy. Even if he gets that from the guy, and that is the last word that Father Martin hears from him, that is not the last word that the man says to God before he passes. We are all called as ministers of God's holy church. You are a minister. We all have what's called diaconia, ministry. The ministry of God, and we have a particular part of it. And if someone rejects your word, don't let that stop you the next time. By the way, remember, Christ said they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting me when you go with me to build my kingdom. We all know something that said something to us and we reject it to their face, but then God works in us and we come to see that it is right. So all that person might have heard from us was our rejection of what they said, but given enough time for God to work with the word that was planted, things can change. You see what I mean? So don't condition yourself that, you know what, I got bit too many times doing that, I'm just going to be quiet, I'm not going to step up or say anything or do anything. Don't be like that. And I'll tell you why. The ghost of Christmas past did not see a converted Scrooge. What if the ghost of Christmas past said, "It's too many times I get rejection, my work does no good"? Does this mean that he shouldn't have done his job? If you are the ghost of Christmas past, realize that it is not about your feelings. It is about Christ and his mission and the salvation of the world. And I'll tell you, the world really needs salvation right now. Those of us who are doing God's work know that sometimes we are the ghost of Christmas yet to come, and we get to see the end result of our work, right? Or in this case, Bob Cratchit and Tiny Tim got to see it too, right? But not the ghost of Christmas past, not the ghost of Christmas present. They get to see a converted Scrooge. And not some of the people that he cheated and so on, that passed away previously, that didn't get to see any of that. So sometimes we are one, sometimes we're the other. So those, when it does not bother us then, if we understand it in this context, to be the ghost of Christmas past, or the ghost of Christmas present, for the next person. Because we know that we are part of a chain that works to convert people into the life of the age to come. I want you to realize that with every human you meet, you are one of several messengers to these people. You may be Cratchit, you may be one of the two guys collecting for charity. Remember those two guys? Or maybe you're Marley. Or maybe you're one of the three ghosts. Or you make yourself one of the passers-by who make no difference in anyone's life. It's our choice. But don't be a passerby. That's not what we as Christians are called to do. Sometimes, and keep this in mind, you are Scrooge's sister Fan, or his old boss, Fezziwig, old Fezziwig. Neither of them got to see a converted Scrooge. But they persisted with the love of God nonetheless towards him throughout his life. Without them, the ghost could not have converted Scrooge. And I want you to think of this. The next time you think you're doing no good in someone's life, think about, when you plant a seed, does it pop up? Short of a chia pet garden. Does it pop up right away? Nope. It takes time. It's going to take time for those fruit trees to grow. You better believe we need it in seed form first. Give it time. You might not be able to see the end result. It's not your job to worry about that, whether you see the end result or not. It's enough to you to trust God that he's going to do the right thing with the seeds you plant because you are commanded to plant the seeds. You do your part, you work, let God do his part. That's a real hard time for a lot of us humans. And give the control to God, right? But it's something that we're all called to do. And we're called also for a level approach to others during this time of year. You know, the reading and the reading for the 5th was, do not fear, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell what you have and give charitably, providing yourselves money bags which do not grow old, and treasure in the heavens that does not fail, where no thief approaches, nor moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And as we're approaching the new year and looking at membership, this is very important. You can't fool God. You can sit there and say, you know, well, God's important. And give him some of us. But if we're really giving him our heart, that means we're also giving a little more charitably towards the church and towards others who are in need of it. You know, sometimes we look to, when you go to, for example, a yard sale, or you go to somewhere where there's someone's doing you a service, and we're, you know, selling something, and they look impoverished. Don't try to cheat them by trying to get them down on a price. Pay a price if it's fair. Don't try to save a few bucks, because you might be taking it from some person's mouths who need that $3. That's what this time of year is all about. That's what this preparation for Advent Nativity is. Not just about food. It is about food too. We've got to be restrained. I mean, and by the way, you know, the church doesn't require us even to fast all 52 Fridays. So certainly we can do 46 Fridays out of the year. Really, it's the day on which our Lord was crucified. And just as we feast on Sundays, we should really fast on Fridays. And if you can't fast all the way to the evening, do what St. Ephraim the Syrian said, right? And then St. Isaac, fast then until the 9th hour, 3 p.m. At least do that, he says. And then you're still keeping the fast in some traditional sense. But keep Christ in mind. So if you're not doing any other fast, at least do that on Fridays up until Nativity, and then don't stop. You know, throughout the rest of the year. We have to build, we have to grow, we have to move more towards God, and start taking our Christianity more seriously, and traditional Christianity more seriously. And if we shortcut people, if we shortcut the church, if we're shortcutting in our responsibilities in our family and our work, it's not going to wind up good. 2 doctors and an HMO and a healthcare manager, health insurance manager die and line up together at the pearly gates. One doctor steps forward and tells St. Peter, "As a pediatric surgeon, I saved hundreds of children." St. Peter lets him enter. The next doctor says, "As a psychiatrist, I helped thousands of people live better lives." St. Peter tells him to go on ahead. The last man says, "I pray a lot. I go to church every Sunday, or at least nearly every Sunday, St. Peter. And I was a healthcare insurance manager, and I got countless families cost-effective healthcare." St. Peter replies, "Okay, you can enter," he says, "but you can only stay for 3 days. After that, you can go to hell." So we got to be careful, because our God does have the power to throw us, body and soul, into hell, as he says. Don't fear the ones who can kill the body. We have the world being trampled on by terrorists. By the way, did anyone see the statistic on what country has the most killings
Norway?
per person? Norway, right. Which is,
We're number 6.
yeah, which is a highly atheist country, to say the least. And by the way, it's the country that's highest in Satanism as a religion. So if you have the satanic goth metal, is very big in Norway, so very strange. But in any case, we can only steer our country back in the right direction by steering ourselves first. Let's do the right thing. And this Christmas and beyond, whatever you're called to do in a given situation, ghost of Christmas past, present, or future, whether you're a fan or old Fezzy Week, sometimes we all need a boss that helps us do the jig and lighten us the load. Sometimes we need a sister who, even if we're stubborn, steers the course, and other people need that from us. We need to discipline ourselves better. We need to become better Christians. We need to become more Christ-like. Lord, into your hands we commit our spirits. And we ask you to help build us as Christians together into your kingdom. Help pull us together as a church and pull us up as a church. And as you're pulling us up, help us to bring others along with us